Hi, my name is Gale Galligan, and I'm the creator of Freestyle. It is my first original graphic novel after 4 Babysitters Club graphic novel adaptations, and it is about a 8th grader named Corey Tan, who is a b-boy. He has been with his dance crew for years. They're best friends, and now they're all gearing up together for a big competition. But their captain is being really stressful and really mean and bumming everybody out. So when Corey makes a new friend, Suna, who teaches him all about yo-yo, it is the best feeling in the world. It's everything he's been missing lately. Experimentation, creativity, the joy of trying something new. He starts drifting away from his old dance crew friends, getting so into yo-yo, and eventually, something's gotta give. He cannot stay like this forever. He has to make some really tough choices about friendship, being the person he wants to be, and there's a lot of fun dance and yo-yo involved too. I really hope that you pick it up at Kinokuniya. The purchase link is down below, and thank you so much. Hi, I'm Aatmaja Pandya. This is my book Slip, written by Marika Makula, illustrated by me. This is my debut graphic novel, which is very exciting. It's, the way I describe it, it's like an emotional coming of age, a queer coming of age, and an artistic coming of age, kind of all at once. The main character, Jade, is about to go to like an arts summer camp, but right before she does, her best friend attempts suicide. So it's, you know, it's obviously kind of a heavy book, but it's sort of a book about exploring like how your relationships change, how like to manage that kind of grief and like process it while also trying to like grow yourself. And in this case, she's also trying to create art and, you know, process her emotions through that. So it's sort of a book that exists like in the gray area. It's not like, it's quite bittersweet, but that's the kind of story I like to tell, and I think some people really enjoy that kind of story. So yeah, I hope if you pick it up and read it, I hope you enjoy reading it or get something out of it. And it's available at Kinokuniya, which is like the coolest store in the city, and I'm really touched to have it being sold here. So the link is down below, and yeah, thank you so much. Hi Kinokuniya!
Hi Kinokuniya, how are you?
This is Gale Galligan,
And this is my friend Aatmaja Pandya, and we are here to talk about our books. Aatmaja's book is co-created with Marika Makula, and it is about a really cool sculptor who wants to keep on making incredible crafts and go to an art camp. But right before she leaves, her friend attempts suicide. So as she goes to that camp, she has to grapple with all of her feelings about her friendship and where she wants to go with art and how she can put her feelings into that. It is an absolutely beautiful book that I'm gonna brag this much. I just loved looking at all of this gorgeous work. It's beautiful. A+, I would recommend.
Thank you, Gale. And Gale's book, which just came out this week, is called Freestyle. It's kind of hard to summarize, a lot happens. But basically it's about Corey Tan, the main character, who is a b-boy and has a b-boying crew, and it's their final year of middle school, so they're all kind of like gearing up for a big competition and getting very like intense about it in a way they haven't before. And Corey is like, man, this sucks, I want to have fun again. And through circumstance he meets Sana, who is his tutor, and he thinks she sucks until he finds out that she knows how to throw yo-yos. Throwing is like the technical term for it, right? So in that he finds like a new creative passion and like learns so much more about it and finds way more joy than he recently has been finding in b-boying. But obviously, you know, these two interests and these two friend groups kind of like come at odds, and he has to like resolve his growing relationships, his changing interests, and like his own like life and like his desires changing in a really beautiful and like funny and charming and also like super heartfelt way. I just think Gale is like one of the best cartoonists working right now.
I love that.
It's true, sorry. Thank you. Here's some great spreads. I don't want to spoil it, but like this book is really, really like beautifully designed, and I was lucky enough to see it like at the beginning of its inception, so it's really cool to see how far it's come.
Oh, thank you. Oh, so those are our books, and I love that they are both about these kids, like kind of on the cusp, where they are figuring out who they want to be as people, how they want to express themselves creatively, and where they can move forward from that.
And the struggle of kind of managing your creative like expression with your real life, which is weirdly pretty difficult
It is, it is. I feel that we both have experiences with this.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you get into comics?
Like, reading comics, I think I was lucky to like have a couple of friends who introduced me to like manga when I was like in 6th grade, I think. You know, the way it goes, like one kid discovers it and then everyone kind of becomes obsessed with it, because at the time we were growing up, it was pretty new and very like trendy. That was when the Tokyo pop manga boom was happening. And one of my best friends is Korean and like had a connection to manhwa and like anime through like Korean media. So she was kind of the inception, and then I just like gobbled up everything I could. And because of that, naturally, I was like, I want to make comics. But the thing about manga art is that it's like, it's very polished, and I was like, this is unachievable for me. You know, I'm never going to be good enough to be able to draw this. But around that time, also there was like a webcomic boom happening.
Yes.
And this was like not the modern day of webtoon, which are also very polished and like beautifully produced. It was like very kind of scrappy and bad. Like
Yeah, because it was so new, people were just putting anything up there.
Exactly. Without really worrying too much about their own technical skill, they were just trying to tell stories because they wanted to, which is like something really beautiful that I kind of missed and feel has been lost in some way. But seeing that kind of art that was like very approachable to me, I thought like, I can do this, you know, this is a foot into the door. So that's how it started, I think, for me. What about you?
I love that. Yeah, kind of similarly. Like I was always really into comics and drawing them. Like I grew up loving Garfield, The Far Side, Calvin and Hobbes, and like my dad would come home with the paper. I'd grab it from him like, show me the world news. No, it's just the comics. It's just the comics. I was like drawing my own fake Garfields, showing them to friends and family, and if they liked it, it was like, yes, I'm just gonna keep doing that.
Fake Garfields.
And then that manga boom happened, and suddenly I could read Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura, Yu-Gi-Oh! And that was the first time I found like stories about kids like me having adventures, because we had like OG, that was the other thing,
Yeah.
you know? And my stories changed and evolved to match that. I started drawing bigger, more fantastical stuff. I started drawing autobio, and I was so excited about that. Similarly, webcomics. But like I started just broadening the range of what I was really excited about, and forgot to stop.
Forgot to stop making comics.
Forgot to stop making comics. And it's so funny because I feel like when you're growing up drawing comics, you don't always make that connection. There's also a job. Was it like that for you?
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that like it wasn't work. It was like an all-consuming need. It was like, if I don't make this, I'm not fully myself if I'm not drawing, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I absolutely feel that.
Yeah. And I do think, like, speaking of, like, I forgot to stop, like, I always tell, like, students this, like, the only difference between an artist and someone who isn't an artist is that at some point, the one who isn't an artist stopped drawing. Because everyone draws. Everyone comes out the womb, like, holding a crayon and is like, I love drawing, you know?
Circle.
You just stop at some point and then you, like, forget how to do it, but that doesn't mean it's not inherent in you somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like it's that confidence thing, right? Like at some point you realize that the picture you draw doesn't match what's in your head, and either you decide to stop or someone encourages you to keep going.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Either you're like, I give up, or you're like, my life's mission is to make the picture in my head reality.
You're gonna draw one decent giraffe and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to talk about like what you're reading right now, or like what was very influential for you in the past, and like what are you interested in currently?
Absolutely, yeah. So while I was working on Freestyle, I was definitely thinking a lot about like different inspirations I could pull from, different influences. Like since it is such a kinetic, action-based book about yo-yo and dance adventures, I was thinking a lot about how I could kind of show those motions, and manga was a really good reference point for that.
Especially sports.
Sports manga. There are not as many good sports comics here, I tell you what. But I was very into. I read a lot of Haikyuu, which is this incredible volleyball manga where something I love so much about it is that it conveys the sport of volleyball so well, so kinetically, but you also connect with the characters incredibly well. You start to get to know all of these people, even though there are like 8, 10, 12 of them. Like you feel really strongly for both the characters and their opponents. And that was something that I also ended up really wanting to bring into Freestyle, which has like a cast of a dance.
Like a big ensemble.
Yeah. So I got to look at that and say, how are you doing this? How do you get me to like everybody? What can I steal for myself? So like, I watched a lot of Haikyuu. I also looked at stuff like, again, Cardcaptor Sakura for those big, beautiful character spreads.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed that, but when you say that, yeah, it's like, oh, I see it immediately.
I love it so much. It's just like, yeah, like the way that they always introduce her, like in her gorgeous outfit, you're just like, I see it, I love it. I wanted to pull more of that into my paneling. Place,
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. How about you? What were you thinking of?
For this, like, it's kind of funny because I feel like the influence isn't obviously apparent, because this is kind of less of a, it's kind of a serious book about something pretty heavy, so
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be too decorative or like exaggerated. So yeah, the direct influence isn't there, but I was reading so much shonen manga while I was working on this. I can't tell you because they have the app, not to be like advertising the shonen
Shonen Jump app? Yeah.
but it's really cheap and you can read everything. So I was just like tearing through like catalogs of like, I read all of One Piece and like all of Bakuman, which is like, I have a lot of feelings about Bakuman, okay? I actually think I think it's kind of bad actually, but also I read all of it, so I just like, I don't know.
It keeps you going, like the cliffhangers just keep up, like it's very well crafted.
Yeah, it's a very,
I always agree with
it's a very well, yeah, that's a good better way to put it.
Yeah.
It's a good comic objectively. It's also like crazy.
Yeah,
So,
like, don't put yourself in the hospital to make comics, please.
yeah, please don't do it. Please don't emulate Bakuman.
Yeah, so like while you were reading these, was it kind of like an escape from the seriousness, or?
I think so. It was kind of a way to keep myself in touch with comics and how much I liked them while working on this pretty heavy,
Yeah.
heavy story, and also like I was a little bit sick while working on this, like so it was a good way to like just keep my energy up mentally, I think. And I do think where you see the influences, like there's a lot of like energy in the inking. This book is like done traditionally for the most part as in inked on paper, and a lot of manga art is still like practiced that way. So I do think that like the very basic craft of it is kind of an influence.
I can definitely see that, yeah, and that's something I love so much about this book, honestly, is just looking at the way
Thank you.
handle like those soft, delicate lines and textures. They're so pleasant to look at.
Thank you, Gale. Who are you reading like right now?
Oh, right now, listen, it's embarrassing, but I am finally fully caught up on Shihayafu. It's
That's
like
not embarrassing.
34 volumes long right now. I'm just like, I started last weekend. But it's so good. It's this manga is like entirely about the Japanese card game of Karata, where you have to memorize 100 beautiful poems and then match the front half to the back half in a high-speed card game. It is so specific, it is so intense, but again, it's that thing I love so much where it's really about the characters loving each other so much and learning and growing through the game of Karata. Like, I don't know what it is about stories like that just grab me in the heart.
No, it is like we were talking about this a little before coming here, and it's just like it's like the kind of thing where it's like only you and your friends in that scenario understand how serious this thing is to you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, even though it seems so strange, like objectively.
That's kind of a comics thing too, isn't it? We're very lucky to have like found our own specific comics groups where we can like share this thing we love with other people and talk about it.
Yeah, and like and don't have to explain like, yes, this is my whole life, and it's like I just need you to understand that, and we do understand that. Like,
Yeah. So here's the question: like, if you were going to, I guess, give advice to an up and coming comics creator, what would be on your mind?
it's like I used to have more useful advice, I think, these days. But these days things have changed so much.
Yeah.
Not to sound like an old person, but like technology has changed so much. It's a little hard to give the advice that I used to, because I used to say make a book content, put it online, and make it free to read and update as regularly as you can, because I was like, it's super easy advertising, it proves you can tell a story, it's good practice for you, so.
Oh, deadlines. Yeah.
Right, but now, like, with the pressure to make everything so polished and like monetize it, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that anymore, but I think the basic advice of like making a lot of work to the best of your ability as often as you can, and putting it online or like where it's easily accessible, and kind of sharing it with everyone, and doing it in a way that's not like, doing it in a way that's honest, not being like I'm going to call like with a Raina Telgemeier and be like, "Hello, Raina, can you read my comics?" Like, don't be weird about it, but like share it with your peers and your friends, and like build it up in that way. I still think that advice is pretty relevant.
I definitely agree. Yeah, just the act of putting stuff out there like helps it to find its people. Honestly. Yeah. I feel like for me, that's definitely a big part of it. I think the other part is just making stuff. I think like the advice that I like to give is basically just make small and short things. Like we all get caught up in our really big ideas.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but mini comics like 1 page, 4 pages, 8 pages, where you can just tell a short story and figure out what tools are working for you. That is both really helpful as a creator and also helps you get yourself out there faster.
Yeah, it's really nice to have like a physical little object, physical in the literal sense, or just like a PDF you can send to like show off to other people, and also for your own sake, being like, I did this, I had an idea and I achieved it.
Exactly.
It's kind of hard to mimic that feeling anywhere else.
Oh, I totally agree. Let's see, is there anything that surprised you about the reception of Slip? Like, have you gotten to talk to readers about it?
So this book came out a little bit earlier than Freestyle, so me and Marika finished our tour last weekend actually. It's interesting. I definitely get a lot of people like who, mostly are buying it for their kids who are kind of in similar circumstances. Like their kid is about to go to art school or something, and their kid is like going through some kind of mental distress. So, which is like,
that's heavy.
I know, when I put it that way, it's like, oh, people buy it for their mentally ill children. I'm like, well,
like same hat. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, well, I relate to that. So. And it's good, it's better than not having the resource for your kid.
Yeah.
So I hope, I hope that it's like, it helps them feel understood in some way, or at least just makes them feel like it's normal for me to be feeling this way, and I'm not crazy,
Yeah, like you're not alone.
Yeah.
I think that's something I hope people take away from mine too, where it's like there is a lot of pressure on you as a young person to figure out like how you can be the best version of yourself, like how to be a good friend, how to get into a good high school if that's something that's happening for you. And just like I hope that knowing that you aren't alone in those types of stressful situations is useful.
Yeah, rather than every book being perfectly relatable to everyone, I think it's like it's nicer just to think like, oh, I do like, I feel a little bit seen by this, like,
I feel like, that's something that really meant a lot to me growing up. Like, again, like with that manga boom, it's like all of a sudden I went from having only Archie and Garfield to having stories about kids who are going through different kinds of stuff.
And complicated emotions.
Yeah. That means a lot.
Also, you've been on tour this week.
Yeah.
Kind of nonstop, actually. Have you got a chance to have some reception or I don't know, it must be cool just to see it in people's hands, right?
It really is, yeah, because I started working on this book in 2015.
I was going to say, because it's been a long time.
It's been a long time
coming.
Yeah. I think the most astonishing thing to me is just like getting to talk to kids in person again for the first time in like 3 years. Except it's also horrible because they'll come up to me and be like, oh my gosh, Gale Galligan, I saw you at this event in 2019. I was 8, now I'm 11. No. Like, oh, I'm turning into dust. Like, thank you for coming back. But it has been so sweet just to see them, like, pick up my book and say, like, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
It really means the world.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I'm certain they're going to follow you through your career, like.
Oh,
no, absolutely. Because, surprise, you're a fantastic cartoonist.
Oh, right back at you. It's like, what? Do we have any like inspirational closing words, fun jokes?
Fun jokes is kind of, I don't know.
I know, that was always like on the spot. Let's go,
I can manage an inspirational word.
I love that.
Well, I don't know. I just think sometimes I have to stop myself in my life and remind myself like that I'm living my dream. Like I made my dream happen with my own hands, which is like kind of surreal. Because when you fulfill a dream, you have to also face yourself and realize that your dream doesn't really look the way you thought it would, or like success, or like adulthood doesn't look the way you thought it would.
Yeah.
So that's sometimes bittersweet, but it is really good, I think, to stop and like be really proud of yourself when you accomplish something. Like, and for us, it's a little different because we're further along in our careers. But if you're younger and you're just starting, like And if you like, like you were saying, if you like finish a comic for the first time, like that is such an incredible achievement. And like, it is so amazing to be able to just make something out of nowhere with your own hands and imagination. So yeah, I hope people just like try and hold on to that feeling as much as they can.
Yeah, that's a really great point because I feel like it's so easy to like do something amazing, but then be looking forward to the next thing right away. Like, no, stop, celebrate yourself. You did it. This is wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. For me, I guess just like I would say whatever it is you take joy in, like share that with people. Like be excited to keep on doing it. Like with this story with Yo-Yo, it's something that I really wanted to carry across. Is that joy of like having something you're so excited about and finding the people who are also so thrilled about it, because you get to share that excitement with each other, you get to work together, and you get to teach each other all this cool new stuff. So like whether it's loving rabbits or getting really excited about Yo-Yo or making comics, just having people that you can put that out in the world together with is always going to be so rewarding. It's such a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, and that's like honestly like making someone you love proud of you with the thing you've made is like worth millions of dollars. It's worth all the success in the world. So
it is. So whatever you do, keep it up. We like it. Thank you so